Welcome back to our part 2. Now, if I zoom out, you'll be able to see on where we left on when we were on part 1. So part 1, we created the column and we created the base plate. And I showed you how we can adjust all these settings. Let me just press Ctrl R and pick my rotation point by left clicking, then hold my left button and turn it like that round. So I want to create another column here on top here. This will help me in creating a flange that will be connecting with this column, and the same column will be attached to a circular hollow section that will be holding the billboard frame, steel frame. Now I'll come to column here and snap on top here. But for now, I'll not snap on top here because it will create a similar steel profile. So let me just click elsewhere, like there. So if I click somewhere like there, I'll be able to double click in here. I'll be able to double click on the similar profile, and I'll come here and change the height of that column. So I'll change this to 400 instead of 7 meters high. So once I've changed that, I'll select on that member, right click and come to move, and I'll snap on that midpoint and come all the way and snap it on top here, right there. So I have a column here and a column on top here. So I want to create a column, a circular hollow section that will be holding the billboard frame itself. And how do I do that? What I'm going to do, I want to create that member here and offset it up. And I'll use some points to guide me in creating the full length of that particular member. So I'll come to points here. Let me just come to edit, then come to this drop down arrow under points, and I'll pick at any option. So I'll be able to snap here at the center of this column here. Then once I've done so, I'll be able to zoom closer and pick on that point. You can see it's in blue color. So I'll select on it. Then once I've selected on it, I'll right click and come to spatial copy here and click on linear. Then I want to offset it from that center to this side by 3 meters because that circular hollow section that we will be holding the billboard frame will be 6 meters. So on the z-axis or on the y-axis, but it will be moving on the negative sign because you can see where the y-axis is pointing. I'll come to y here and just type negative 300 or 3000 there. So if I click on that, I'll be able to see whether I have my point in the exact location, but I can't see it here because probably I haven't selected it accurately. Let me just go here and select on it once again, or I can just select on this and right click and click hide, or just undo. Let me just redraw to bring everything back. So what I'm going to do here as it is, I'll go back to my points here. I'll come to my points here, just click at any point, then I'll snap on that spot. Once I've snapped on that spot, I'll zoom closer and select that point. Then I'll right click and come to spatial copy here and do the same thing on the negative 3000 or 3 meters. So I'll go ahead and click copy. So if I zoom out, I'll be able to see the point. It is here. So I'll do the same thing here. I'll select that point, right click and interrupt that. Then I'll select on that point once again, right click and come to copy, and I want to hold this point from this side. So I'll select on that side and place that point somewhere there. So that will offset the same distance this side. Right click and come to interrupt to get out of that command. Now if I measure this point to this point, and to measure that, you'll come to measure under edit. If you click edit, you will be able to get this tool here. So click on that drop down arrow under measure there and pick on distance. I'll pick on this distance there and move straight to that point. So if I click there, you'll be able to see I have 6 meter distance between this point and this point. Now we can go ahead and create that circular hollow section from here. So I'll come to steel So under steel, I'll come to drop down arrow here and click on the beam. Then I'll snap on that spot and snap on this spot here, right there. So I have by default, I'll have a beam as by default steel profile. So I'll go ahead and modify these to accept my settings or to customize the settings of my preference here. So I'll just double click in here and change this profile to a circular hollow section. So to change that, just click on this radio button, and this will take you to a huge catalog of steel profiles as I had showed you when we were creating the steel column. So I'll minimize that so that I get more listings of steel profiles. So I'll just move down and can come to circular hollow sections here. So if I click on that plus sign, I'll be able to come to this, and I'll change this to 650. Remember, it is rare to get a circular hollow section of this size in the market. So more often, people prefer to buy the plate of that particular thickness, then fold it, bend it to a circular shape, then weld and join until you attain the height of your choice. So I've changed that to 650 millimeter in diameter, and I want this also to change to 8 millimeter thickness right there. So once I've done so, I'll go ahead and click apply and give it an OK. And if I come here and click modify, this will change to a circular hollow section. You can see that. The material, you can change that if you want, but I'll just leave it on default setting of S275. Let me just close that. So we want to take this profile up here. So how do you copy that or take it up there? First of all, you take into account that we had this 400 in place and we have this 7 meters. So in total, we have 7.4. So I'll just click on this member, then I'll right click and come to special move and pick on linear, and I'll come to z-axis. Z-axis means we are moving upward by 7,400 right there. So if I come here and click move, and we'll take this member up. But slightly, if you take a look closer, you'll be able to see it's not right at the top of this particular column, because you want to we want this member to sit right on the top of this short column, or a column of 400 millimeter sitting on top of the 7 meter column. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click on this column here, and to shift the position using this these three tools here. We have on plane, and we have rotation, and we have at depth. So as it is here, its position is at behind option. So we want to take this to sit on the front. So if you click on the front there, we'll click move, and this will take it up. So once it's up there, let's just press Ctrl R and pick our rotation point, and you can see where it's sitting right on the top of that particular member. So here, what we are going to do, we want to connect, we want to create, we want to weld this to this particular or circular hollow section. So this will involve a lot of notching and all that for it to be welded nicely with this circular hollow section. So what we are going to do, we want to go ahead and weld this to this. And then this member and this member will be connected by flanges. I'll show you how we can create the flanges on the beneath side of this particular column and the top side of this particular column. Then we'll bolt them together. So let's first of all do that. I'll minimize this for now and come here and just type a tube, because this connection is a tube connection type. Then just type tube, and I'll scroll down to come to round tube there. I'll click on round tube. So once you invoke this command, you'll be able to see the instruction here. Pick the main member. So our main member will be this. You can select any to be your main member and select on that. So you can see the column has been adjusted automatically, and the notching has also been created to create a connection between this column and this column. So if you create a drawing all the details will be generated on how the notching will be done and all the measurements about the notching of this particular column to let it fit for welding, to accept the welding details between this column and this member. So let me just right click to get rid. Let me just right click and then click redraw to remove those symbols of connection. So we've created that. And the next step, we want to create a couplet here just to go to close that area and close this area. And so what we do, we just type cap here, just type cap and come to couplet detail here, and I'll just zoom the other side and pick and select on this particular member, then snap on any section there. So if I double click on this member, because you don't need a square section, a square type of couplet, so we have options here. If I click on this drop down arrow and pick on the circular option, I'll be able to click modify and give it an acceptance there. So there's also a choice of the plate thickness. You can change the plate thickness here, and if you click on the parts, so 10 millimeter thick plate, it's so big, we can just narrow it down to 6 millimeter and click modify. If I click modify right there, I'll be able to create a cap plate there. So we close both ends of this particular circular hollow section. So we have a lot of details that we need to create here. So I'll come back again and select on this member and snap at any point, and we create a cap plate. So I'll left click on the screen, then right click and come to redraw, and this refreshes everything and removes any symbol of connection between the members. Remember, that clogs or makes the drawing very busy. So what we've created here is the connection between these main circular hollow section that will be holding this, will be providing or holding the billboard frame, and we have this column and this column. So I'll show you on how we can create the connection between these two components. So let's meet on the next presentation on part 3 on how we'll move further and create other components or other supporting members of this particular billboard. So let's meet then. This is Morris Dimba, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and bye bye.